There's something happening underneath every decision that you make, underneath every relationship you choose, every opportunity that you walk away from, every time that you self-sabotage right when things are finally going your way. It's not your mindset, it's not your beliefs, not exactly. It's not even your fear. It's something older than all of that put together. It is the system in your body that is designed to keep you alive. And it has been doing its job for so long that it now keeps you alive even when you are trying to live. We're gonna talk about the nervous system today. Not the science version, not the textbook version, but the version that you actually live today. The version that explains why you went back to that person that hurt you even though you knew better. Why money disappears right after it comes to you. Why your body got sick when you finally took a vacation. The reason why you can't sleep when life is going well. So your body is keeping score, but nobody told you that you were playing a game. Your nervous system has one job: to keep you safe. That's it. That's the whole mission. But here's what safe actually means to your body. Safe doesn't mean healthy. Safe doesn't mean happy. It doesn't mean successful. It means familiar. Whatever you grow up feeling, whatever emotional state was normal in your house, in your first relationship, in school, in your body, that becomes your baseline. And your nervous system will spend the rest of its life returning to that baseline. Not because you're broken, because your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is that nobody told you that you could change it. So let's talk about relationships, because this is where people feel it the most and they understand it the least. You've probably had this experience. You met someone who was calm, present, stable, consistent. They call when they say they will. They were kind, they were available. That person actually wanted to be with you. And somehow, to you, it feels off. Not bad, not wrong, just flat. No spark, no pull. So you friend zoned the person. And slowly you drifted away and you told yourself there was no chemistry. And after a few weeks, later on you meet someone else that is hot and cold. When they're gone, the next one they're here. They make you feel incredible, and then all of a sudden they disappear for 3 days. And every cell in your body starts feeling it. And you call that chemistry, you call that attraction, you call it love. But here's what is actually happening. Your nervous system grew up in an environment where love felt uncertain, where closeness came and went, where you had to earn attention or to fight for it or to wait for it. So your body learned this push and pull, this unpredictability that I'm feeling, this is what love feels like, because that is what I felt when I was a kid. That is the signal. So to you, the calm, the consistent person doesn't trigger the signal. So your body reads them as boring, as safe, as not it, while the chaotic person triggers every single thing that your nervous system recognizes as love. So your body reads them as chemistry, electricity, the one. You're not choosing that person. Your nervous system is choosing that person. So you didn't choose them based on what you were actually looking for. Your nervous system did all of that based on the emotional baseline that you had from the past. And it goes deeper than who you are attracted to. Think about the arguments that you keep having in your relationships. Not the topic, but the argument, the shape of it. There are people who, no matter who they are with, they end up with the same dynamic. One person pulls away, the other chases. One person shuts down, the other escalates. One person needs constant reassurance, and the other feels suffocated. Does that sound familiar to you? And both people look at each other like the other one is the problem, not themselves, but neither of them is the problem. These are two nervous systems, each running their own survival response, each doing exactly what their body learned to do to maintain themselves safe. One learned, if I disappear, I can't get hurt. The other one learned, if I let go, I'll be abandoned. Neither of them chose that. Both of them are living it. Until someone decides to look at the system and change it, only then things can change. Here's something that happens to a lot of people. They go through something hard, maybe a breakup, losing a job, a period of financial stress, something that really threatens their sense of safety. And then the situation changes. Things get better, relationships end, they find new work, the crisis passes. But the feeling does not. Their body is still braced. They're still scanning, they're still waiting for something to go wrong in their life. And for some reason, they can't relax while they're eating. They can't enjoy a good stretch without assuming that something is going to happen. They get startled easily. They become irritated out of nowhere. They get tired. They can't sleep. From the outside, it looks like they just can't let things go. It's like they're choosing to stay anxious, like they're being ungrateful for what they have. But it's not what's happening. What is happening is that their nervous system, which is always scanning for threats, got locked into that setting. And because that setting has been ruined, they can't shut it off, even when the threat has disappeared. It's like a fire alarm that never turns off. So just imagine being in a house where the alarm continues to go off every single day. And with time, the alarm is no longer audible to you. So over the months and over the years, this alarm becomes your baseline. Hypervigilance becomes the normal. Bracing became the resting state. Waiting for the next bad thing became how they lived. So even though the danger left, your body didn't get the memo. And now you're living in constant stress every single day. And here's what makes that invisible. When you have been in a state of threat for so long, you stop feeling the fear. It just feels like you. You think that you're someone who just worries a lot. You think that you're a realist, and you think that you're not built for relaxation. But that's not your personality. You think it's your personality. What it is that your nervous system adopted a survival environment that no longer exists. Your body held on to that posture long after the war ended. So this also affects what you attract. Now, let's talk about the thing that nobody says clearly enough about manifestation. There's a version of this conversation that lives in the self-help space that talks about visualizing what you want, writing it down, believing you deserve it. And those things have value, don't get me wrong, because they have power. But there is a piece that gets often overlooked, and it's this. Where are you when you're doing it? Not physically. What state is your body in? Because there are two completely different modes your nervous system operates in. One is expansion, which is open, creative, connected, generative. And your prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain that is responsible for possibilities, makes long-term decisions, thinks creatively. It's fully online when your body feels loose, when it feels present, when it feels available. The other mode is the threat mode. It's contracted, always scanning, defensive, reactive. Your body is channeling every resource that it has towards survival. In this mode, long-term thinking goes out the window. You have no creativity. The ability to see new possibilities is completely turned off. So here's where it gets real. Most people who are desperately trying to attract more into their lives, more money, more love, more success, are doing it from a threat state. They are not visualizing from a place of openness. They're visualizing from a place of lack. The desperation is in their body, the anxiety is in the body, and the body doesn't lie. You can write a bunch of I am abundant statements in a piece of paper, or read them, or listen to them every single day. But if the nervous system doesn't feel safe, it's not gonna be able to do that. The body will always win. So you are not blocking the creations that you have in your mind because you don't believe enough. You're blocked because your body is still in survival mode. And survival mode doesn't create, it protects. Think about what it actually feels like to make a decision from panic. When you're stressed about money, really stressed about money, not just thinking about it, can you clearly think? Can you see the big picture? Can you access ideas that you haven't had before? Can you show up to a meeting with ease and groundedness that actually draws people in? Most people can't do that. It's not a character flaw. Because if your body doesn't feel safe, it will not take risk. A body that doesn't feel safe will not step into the unknown. A body that doesn't feel safe will do every single thing in its power to return to what it knows, even if it knows that it's less than what they want, even if it's hurting them. That's why people can know exactly what they need to do, but still not do it. It's not because they're lazy, it's because they're self-sabotaging themselves on purpose. The body is protecting them from a version of success that doesn't feel safe to them. So the body will destroy anything that is good. Now, this is one of the hardest things to see because it doesn't look like fear. It looks like bad luck. You get a new client and then you do something that pushes them away. You start making real money and then you spend it faster than it came. You finally met someone who treats you well and you start pulling back. You launch something, a business plan, an idea, and you gain some traction and then you find a way to slow down. From the outside, it looks like a pattern. From the inside, it looks like circumstances. But it's neither. It is the nervous system doing what it always does, returning to the familiar. If your body grew up in financial stress, for example, having money above a certain threshold is going to activate the threat response. Not consciously, your brain isn't sending a message, we have too much money, this is dangerous, we need to spend it. But the body responds with tension, with urgency, with restlessness. So you get an irrational impulse to spend it or to give it away. Not because you're irresponsible, but because abundance feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar is danger. So you try to get rid of the money because you feel this tension, you feel uncomfortable. So you didn't blow it up because you were careless. You blew it up because your body didn't know how to stay in this unfamiliar territory. Or think about it like this. You've been grinding for months, stressed, exhausted, pushing through. And then you book a vacation for the first time, you get a break. And then a week passes. And before you leave, you're getting sick. Not a little tired, but actually feeling sick. And you've probably said to yourself, of course this is gonna happen right before I'm supposed to relax. But here's what is actually happening. When you are in high stress mode, running on cortisol and adrenaline, your immune system is practically suppressed. Your body is prioritizing survival, not maintenance. The moment you slow down, the moment the stress signal drops, your body finally processes what is actually holding it back. The illness isn't bad timing, is your body finally showing signs of exhaustion, finally letting the armor down, and the same thing happens emotionally. Some people feel more anxious right before good things happening in their life than when hard things are happening. And sometimes they may have new relationships, new opportunities, new chapters, and instead of feeling excitement, they feel dread. Because the nervous system doesn't distinguish between unfamiliar danger and unfamiliar good. Unfamiliar is unfamiliar, and unfamiliar gets treated as a threat. So now, let's talk about something that you do every single day. You probably do this multiple times a day. Something so normal that is invisible. You're sitting there, no crisis, no pain, but something underneath is humming, like a low-grade discomfort you can't really name, a restless, a feeling that something is slightly off. And without thinking about it, you pick up your phone, and all of a sudden you're scrolling. Now there's a version of the story where the phone is the problem, where the app was designed to be addictive, and that's the end of the story, right? That's one part of it, but that's not the whole story. The whole story is what you're doing before you reach for your phone. You're feeling something uncomfortable in your body, and instead of sitting with it, you reach for stimulus. The scrolling provides just enough input to keep your mind from dropping into whatever is underneath. It's not entertainment, it's regulation, and that is a nervous system strategy. So you are not addicted to your phone. You are using your phone to avoid being alone with your body. And the thing is, it works. In the short term, it absolutely works. The stimulation interrupts the discomfort, the dopamine hits keep the signal at bay, you feel slightly less whatever that was. You put the phone down, but the discomfort is still waiting, so you pick it up again. And over time, the capacity to simply sit, to be with your own body, with your own thoughts, it quietly erodes. Not because you're weak, because you've trained your nervous system to expect relief. And the cause of that is deeper than just watching a screen. The cause of that is losing access to yourself. The discomfort underneath the scroll isn't random noise, it's information that you have to analyze. It's your body trying to communicate something, a need that hasn't been met, a truth that hasn't been spoken, a feeling that hasn't been processed. When you silence it every time it speaks, you don't make it go away. You make yourself a stranger to yourself. And you can't build a new life from a body that you don't even listen to. And that is where regulation of your nervous system actually comes in. So what do you do with all this information? You know now that your nervous system is running on patterns. The old ones, the survival ones that made sense at one point in your life but no longer serve you. You know why you go back to the wrong person. You know why you blow up good things. You know why you can't manifest from desperation. And now you also know why you scroll instead of feel. And knowing matters. Understanding the mechanism is the first move. It has been protecting you since before you knew that you needed protecting. But at some point, the protection became the prison. The same system that kept your house safe, now it's not keeping you safe. And it will continue to run on the old settings with the old rules towards the same outcomes until you give it a new experience, a new idea, a new possibility that something different is out there for you. And that's the work. That is the real work. So no more content, no more information, no more knowing what to do. It's all about living differently, living in your body in the moment that truly counts. This is where identity change actually happens. Not in your head, but right here.